Our next speaker on the Pioneer stage is Kristina. She is the founder of Kech. Nova, what can you tell me about Kristina?
1 second. Searching for Kristina Cahojova. Our next bold lady was awarded as Student Entrepreneur of 2011 with her first business venture and hasn't stopped ever since. She worked for usual suspects in tech space like Amazon and eBay and lives in San Francisco. Now, she's helping millions of women in their fertility journeys. Please welcome Kristina Cahojova, calling in live from San Francisco.
Kristina, welcome to Future Entrepreneurship 2021. The stage is all yours.
Hello. Hi, students, I suppose, and future entrepreneurs. My name is Kristina, and not long time ago, I was also a student thinking of starting my first venture. So I hope that my story and what I will share with you will help you make the right choices, and that you also will feel confident and eventually will be willing to take risks that it's really risky to start a company. Cool. So I am from Slovakia, and capital of Slovakia, Bratislava, which is a European Union country. My sister actually studied in Leuven, in Belgium. So I hope that there are some students from Leuven. I did international management, and my home school was Prague, and I spent some time in Cologne, Germany, and in Barcelona, and I studied international management and business. And the reason why I chose to study a business was because primarily I thought business students are cool. I wanted to study law before, but I didn't want to stay in Slovakia. And second, my father was an entrepreneur. And I thought the most honorable job there is in the whole world is to give someone full-time job and actually help people and create something meaningful. And I thought that's like the most challenging thing you can do as a person, because you really create something that has a value, but also you are creating work for other people. So I thought it's super hard. I have seen my father since I can remember how stressed he was and how difficult it was. At the same time, I really like challenges, and that's the way how I am. So, that's right. And of course, it's not a straightforward decision that you will just say like, hey, I will start a company and it will be cool. But it's a process. You need capital, and you need to know that there is something that you're betting on. So let me share with you how I really started my first company. So I have been thinking about starting a business, especially as I finished my bachelor degree, and I was like, yeah, like I'm not very motivated to join corporations and wear high heels or shirts every day and iron them to the office. I actually also have done really well. I won some cup from P&G, and like I was really good at marketing, so I thought that that's the way what I can do. But I was very not motivated in going every day into the office and like crunch some numbers for some local market in Czech Republic or like stuff like that. And so I was looking into other things, and I believe that people are good in things that they like and then they enjoy doing. So if you do something that you really enjoy doing, eventually you will become really good at it. And I think it's true. You shouldn't make compromises in your own life on that front, but you also should be ready to take consequences for it. And so when I started my master's, I knew that I want to have international experience. So I was doing international master, but at the same time, I was always looking forward either joining early stage company or eventually creating my own. And, you always have to start early. So one summer I was on holiday with my friend in India, and we started to import from India shirts and jackets to Czech Republic, and we created a website where people could order custom-made shirts and custom-made jackets and suits. And it's like we created a beautiful website. It was all really well. We got a lot of traction. I got an award for that. But we got killed ourselves because the import taxes and the whole process when you do it on a small scale and you try to scale it, it just kills you. I will give you an example that every time we got a new order, I have to go personally to the airport and pick it up and cleared it through the export import office. And it's just like the ROI on selling it, it was not good at all. And, especially like if some people needed changes or returns or exchanges, it was so expensive. And at one point it didn't make sense. And so, I learned a lot in doing this because, I put my savings, everything into this. I didn't take job offers like other of my colleagues or students did. Like you can get this very cool first-time offers from corporations like Google, Amazon when you graduate. So it's very easy at that time of your life to get an offer or like ticket to these big companies because they try to hire students, and I didn't do that. And then my company eventually didn't work out, so I felt really depressed because then it's really difficult to get another opportunity to catch like get a proper salary and a proper career. And so it was really hard for me because you have something that didn't work out and you really spent a lot of time doing it. You didn't take salary, and it was like all really bad. But at the same time, my boyfriend told me that like there must be something that you learned. Like there's something that I or like other people at companies don't learn. Even a failure is a big learning, and I do agree with that. At everything you do, you have to be fine with failing and also with learning. Like what is the learning that I have gained just by making that career choice? And so I learned this. I think that it will help you. So first of all, you have to do something that you're very passionate about. And I was not passionate about making custom-made suits or shirts, because when you do something that you're passionate about, it will help you in a really, really, really difficult moment. And doing a business is very difficult. The likelihood of you succeeding is like fraction of a percent, is like total like minimum, especially if you're a woman. So like if you do something that is meaningful to you and you're passionate about it, even if you fail, like eventually, like you're still happy that you have done it. And so I was like, yeah, so I really need to do something that I'm super passionate about. And second thing for me that I learned was that, doing a market research is not enough because there are other factors that can kill your company. Like, for example, this import export thing. I seriously thought it will be way easier, but it wasn't. And if I, for example, imported that products to the United States, I wouldn't have that problem. But in Czech Republic, it was a problem. And then the third thing I learned is that, you have to get an external investor, because if you can't find an external investor, like no one that believes in your vision or what you want to do, then probably it's not even worth to put your own money into it, because, like, especially as a first-time founder, you don't know as much as the investors, and they have seen it so many times. And if you can't find a single investor that is going to put money into your venture, then probably you have done something bad or something is just not right. So these three things, I was like, yeah, that's probably really the most important things that I'm carrying from my first venture. And then I thought like, but I still want to do entrepreneurship. Like I really, really like it. It's really challenging. And if I can only choose one fate in my life, it would be, yes, I solve a big problem and I really make something meaningful. And so naturally, the next career choice was that I wanted to join an early stage company so I could learn. You learn a very different skill set and you get a very different experience when you start your career in a big corporation, like very different. When you join an early stage companies, apart from learning, very hands-on execution skills, you also learn by observing. Like you can observe how the founders do. Like even if they fail, like you can get a sense of why they failed, and you just learn a ton. And so I went to London where my boyfriend was living, and then I joined a company called Abbey Parking, which was an early stage company that was just awarded by some prize in London. And I joined for them to do marketing. And Abbey Parking was a company. They make parking apps. Um, so they were helping people to find a parking space in London. And and I was like, yeah, okay. So they got this award. I am passionate kind of about parking because I see how a big problem it is. My mom, she is a mayor in Bratislava, so parking was a big problem that they were trying to solve. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I can put my career time into solving this problem. And so I was doing marketing for them, and I did really well, I have to say. One day when I joined, they had like only a few thousand active users, and then at one point we were the most downloaded parking app on the iOS store in on Great Britain. So it was like I did some really cool stuff, and I did what I had to do, and I was passionate. I was working a lot or hard, like even weekends, and really trying. And eventually I left the company. And it was for a few things and for a few reasons. First of all, I was the only woman there, and they were not treating me really nicely. Now, especially when I look at it in retrospect, I understand that they were not treating me at all nicely. And second of all, the founder, he was not set up for success. I could see, like stuff as he was managing it, the way how they were raising money and the way how he executed the problems. I didn't believe the company will be big, and I didn't believe that it will eventually change. And so I left. And a lesson that I learned from joining that company was really that it's not just about the product market fit and getting an external investment and working on the things that you're passionate about solving, but also it's about like founder. Founder is the key for company success, and that founder was not a good fit. Really, it was not a good fit. And he was a nice guy and everything, but you have to execute really well as a founder. And a key thing you also have to do really well, you have to make fast decisions. Even if they're bad, like it's fine if they're bad, but you have to make them. Like every day you have to make decisions and you have to bear responsibilities if they were wrong. And this founder, he was very lingering on making decisions. Everything was so slow. And eventually, if you're trying to make so many good decisions and you're taking so much time, if you had like made 5 bad decisions before and only one good, you would be still further than like lagging on into making one decision. And you also have to hire well. So like making decisions fast and hire well, and the founder was not hiring well at all. And that was just a disaster because the company can be only as successful as your team who is executing. And so then at that point, you don't earn a lot of money at a startup. And I was like, I'm done, like I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'll just take some really easy job and get a salary and, like have a good life and party in London as my friends. And I got hired by Amazon. That was very, very quick. It was a good fit because that was I studied international business. There were a lot of my friends who were already there at the company. They recommended me, so it was not hard. And at Amazon, I was living the dream. It was so easy. And because in corporation, the biggest difference you see is that even if you make mistakes, as far as you have the good intention, it doesn't matter that much. If you make a lot of mistakes at startup, it can kill your company. But at corporation, you just have to try, and there is a huge margin for error. Like as far as you're doing, as you have a good valid reasons for your decisions and you're doing them, then it's okay. And you have to have this hardworking mindset, which I'm sure all of you as a business students have. Like you can work hard and you're not playing games or whatever. So like I found it like very relaxing because everything had a structure. And structure in startup is especially early stage, that's not something that you will get. So like it was structure, you had a manager and he was leading you. You got a feedback on your work. There was always some people that you could ask for help. There were so many resources at Amazon that you could do. It also, one thing that I learned was how to operate in corporation and through international teams, because I was leading international project. It was all really good. Like it was all really good, and I liked it. But at the same time, I knew that I don't want to do it for 10 years because it was, it's not challenging. Like, and I think even though I really wanted to do something easy and not that crazy as a startup, if it's not challenging for a long time, it's not really, it doesn't really motivate me. I need challenges to motivate me to excel. And so my husband, at that time already my husband, so he was working at Google and he got an offer to move to Mountain View in California. And so I was like, yeah, sure. Like, if you want to do entrepreneurship, why not in the mecca of entrepreneurship? It's like a great thing. But at the same time, San Francisco is like so much more expensive than London and Brussels as well. So, you go there and it's not just like, hey, let's start a company from zero. It's a new country, it's a new market, it's a new people. When I was going there, I had zero friends, zero. I didn't know anyone. But like I don't care. And so I needed a job first. I needed to understand and make contacts and network, and so I got hired by eBay. Easy. And of eBay through an agency, and I was doing for them marketing, the things that I was doing before, and it was very good. It was good to understand how American corporations work, and also what is what is their culture. Because even though they speak English, they're very different from British. And I lived in London before, and it was a bit of culture shock to me. In London, after work, you go to a pub, especially on Friday with your manager, and like you talk and drink beer. In the US, no one hangs out after work, or like all the offices or everything is basically in the field somewhere in San Jose or Mountain View. A big building is surrounded by a parking lot. Everyone is trying to finish work or early on Friday because they try to do like some hiking or whatever on the weekend. The pub culture is non-existent. Like hanging around together as a company is also almost non-existent. And people really, really, really work hard, not necessarily for good reasons, but they really have this intense working culture. We in Europe, we have this optimizing for your life outcome, like really enjoy what you're doing and enjoy your free time, at the same time build a career. In United States, it's so common that people don't even take holiday in the first year at a new employer, like at all. Like you don't take holidays. And it's just like viewed as okay. And the amount of holidays you get there is also very little. You start with 9 days a year. So they have very this super work culture, I would have to say. And it's it was very different. But at the same time, I was always like looking around and thinking what else I could do. I definitely didn't want to work in some corporation on some parking lot somewhere. Sorry for parking lot, but the buildings are really surrounded by a huge parking lot somewhere in South Bay, and I was looking for something that I was passionate about. And I am really passionate about women's health. One of the reasons why is because I am a woman, and we have so many terrible solutions for women out there right now. And because a few women are in technology altogether, the innovation driven by women, they are also lagging. When you have like men-centric solutions, like there's so many, like when you are in Silicon Valley for all men's problems, there are like 2-3 startups, ordering food home or optimizing for your email or like multitasking, because it's not a domain that men do well. So you have like 10,000 startups for multitasking. But women-centric problems like childcare or intimate problems or mental health or whatever, like at that time it was like so overlooked. And there are a few reasons for that. One of them is that when you have people working in tech and they're like 90% men, of course that they will be passionate about solving problems that they perceive as being a big problems. But when you have a little woman in tech, they will not push these ideas, or even if it's hard to push ideas, especially if they're intimate in a men collective. And so I was looking, and one thing that happened to me when I moved to the United States is that I also had very crazy periods, and I was married. I didn't want to use birth control, and I couldn't use like natural methods because I was super regular. And I was like, why on earth we don't have some amazing Fitbit for women, let's say, that would be just for women's problems and like live better according to your cycle, understand when you're fertile, when you're not fertile, understand why your cycles are so crazy, and why there is not something like that. Like it just didn't make any sense. And so I was at eBay, I was basically understanding the market and what people are searching for, what they shop for. And it brings you an idea to do an analysis of like, do really women search for this, or is it just me having the problem? And so I started to dig into the data, like the patterns of what people search on internet, and basically looking for unmet demand. And I realized there is a huge unmet demand for this. Women are the whole internet. If you can imagine a map of internet, is like porn, animal videos, and then woman-centric problems that women ask Google, and then everything else, okay, movies, etc., etc. And to give you a scale, like women asking about their cycles is as big as people asking Google for the newest phone or newest iPhone, or it's a lot. It's like way more than that. So why is it so? Like why all the solutions that are out there in the market are not sufficing to us? And one of the problems that there was out there is because like the best data you have from your vagina, like you can't get data from a software, an app that is counting days, or like something, or Fitbit. You have to go to the core. Like if you want to solve women's problem, you have to go to the core. But how do you go to the core and to the vagina? Like of course you have to have something that women love to use and is intimate. And so my initial thought was not that I will make a company, but I pitched this idea, or I was interviewing at fertility tracking companies or software companies. And I was asking them like, hey, like you see that people, like women are inputting their vaginal data in your app. Like why you don't make a solution for that? It's like data are not good, it's very difficult and it's super stressful, etc. And the reason why at the time the very well-funded San Francisco startups didn't do it is because it would have to be a medical device, super regulated, and user experience going into vagina, like they just don't even thought that it could be user-friendly, because most of these startups are run by men. So for them, it was like telling them that there is a big market opportunity on the moon. They were like, yeah, like and a medical device and a hardware, and like we are good at software. Like we can bring women the best fertility tracking app there is there. There are so many startups. I don't have to name anyone, but when you Google fertility startups, most of the best funded ones are run by men, like all of them. It's ridiculous. And one of them, I think the best funded one, is run by 3 men. It's so funny. So like that was the stage of the affairs. And then, but I didn't give up. I was going to this founders meeting and pitching sessions, and I was pitching these ideas to investors, and I was listening. And one thing that I observed very well is that you need to go and ask someone who is already successful, because you can do your own research, you can do whatever, but if you don't have someone who is further along and is already successful, ideally with a very similar background, you can just guess how he or she have gotten there. And so I made friends with early stage startup founders, and I was asking them. And I found especially people who had very similar backgrounds like me. They came from Europe and they started a company in San Francisco. And so what they told me, all of them, mutual advice was join an accelerator, join a local accelerator. If someone is willing to give you money and accept you to the accelerator, it's worth doing. And so I was like, okay, which ones? And so I found the best ones, of course, and I was accepted to the best one. But in retrospect, I asked the partner of that accelerator, like, why? And he told me that, Kristina, like, it wasn't about the business idea, but you had like really a passion, and I could see that you could work really hard. So, startup founders that have a passion and can work really hard can be successful. Like you just don't, having product market fit or like a great vision is not enough. You have to have the personality and the persistence. And I was like, oh, like it sounds like regular BS. But eventually, now that my company is way bigger, I understand that he was very right. persistence and your like the way how you approach hard work and problems, it's probably the core what will make you succeed or fail. Because having a company and starting a company is like so crazy difficult, and if you're not mission driven, if you're not persistent, and if it's not your hardcore personality, that you will not make it. It's just like no way. Like no way. So like in retrospect, like this partner of this VC fund, I see what he meant, because now I have seen a lot of startups that were with me at accelerator, and I can see those that were not successful and those that they were successful. And the person of the founder is so important, is like so important. You just have to be, first of all, a little bit crazy, but also you have to work hard. And there will be so many no's and so many difficult situations if you are not strong mentally, or like you don't have a personal conviction, like what, like I do this because it's really good, then you will probably not make it. And I think one of my strengths is that I have deep personal conviction of why I do this. And even when things get really hard, I like, yeah, I do it because I do this, and it's just like I just roll. And so like if you're thinking of starting a company or doing something, I really recommend that you always look up to people who are like a little bit further than you and who have done it. And like you always find your mentor, you always found a startup founder that you can keep on feedbacking, and like you can kind of copy his or her journey. The reason why I say this is that when I started a company, I also, my husband and I, we were helping students from Slovakia who were entrepreneurial, and kind of Slovak government agency or whatever that is. They were looking for some host family in San Francisco and people who can show them entrepreneurial scene. And so my husband and I, we started to help the students every year. We got 2. And, I was really trying to show them like, this is how it works. This is what you should do, because I felt sorry that I didn't get such an education, like real on-hands education, like this is how it really is. And I had to learn the hard way. And one of those students I decided to hire. And I think now he's the best equipped to start his own company than anyone else, because he has seen it all, like from the production, to product market fit, the fundraising, possible exit, And I really hope that many of you can either look for similar programs or even propose to someone from Belgium or whoever, some startup founder from Belgium that is in San Francisco, if you can come for a summer internship or something, because you will learn way more when you're there. And even being a startup assistant or whatever, you will get a better education than just like studying 10,000 hours at university. It's like something totally different. So that. But back to my company. I also my company is a hardware-enabled company, so you have to make a product. Making a physical product is really hard. And I went to China, and I spent a lot of money there, a lot of time there. Eventually, now we make the product in Taiwan. It's also learning that I wish, that I knew before how hard it is. But one thing I learned with making a hardware, I'm a business student, I'm not a hardware engineer, is that if you don't know how to do something, you have to hire someone who knows how to do it. And so like if you hire someone that tells you like, oh, I'm passionate about doing it, I will learn it, it's not enough. You can have an intern like that, but you have to hire people who are better than you. And I can't stress this more than enough, because I did bad decisions. I hired people for passion or just because they wanted to join early stage startup, and they wanted to come to San Francisco. Unfortunately, passion can't make for experience in early stage startup, and you simply can't afford it. Like if you will hire people who are passionate and junior, and you will have like 5 of them, it will not bring you anywhere. And it's one thing that I learned the hard way. At one point, I had to like fire all my technical team, all of them, and then I had to go and talk to my investors like, yeah, I made a bad decision, like we are not ready to ship, the whole product is terrible, and I need to either hire someone senior or like this is it, like we're done. And the reason why I'm saying it is because good founder, even if it's bad news, you talk to your investors and you're transparent about it. And this is very common with women, but it's less common with men. Men are afraid to report to their investors the real state of affairs, and then like it's not really worth it because then investors are not really helpful to you. And
Kristina,
I think one of the reasons, yeah.
Kristina, I don't want to intrude or be rude, but we have only a few minutes left. Do you have any final words you really want to say in your keynote before we go to the Q&A?
Of course. Yeah. So, guys, if you want to start a company, start earlier than later, but try to get a very meaningful experience before. Join early stage companies, or at least do an internship in some early stage company. And if you're a woman willing to start a company, join a company that is funded by women. Because as a woman, there are like even way more difficulties, and I didn't even start talking about it, but there is a lot of prejudice against women, and the numbers don't lie. We get half of the financing, even if we get it at half of the valuation as men, and we get 1/100th, 1% of what men get. So, like the competition is really fierce. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your personal traject in building your own company. I have 2 questions left before I leave you back to work. You raised more than $55,000 via crowdfunding. Here at Sing, they're very supportive of the crowdfunding campaigns. They work together with the Chamber of Commerce in Antwerp, and the Chamber really advises and helps students in their crowdfund campaigns. Do you have any tips and tricks to share to start a crowdfunding campaign? Because it's not that easy. It's not something you do overnight.
Okay, yes, I do. Don't take a crowdfunding campaign as something that will serve you as a capital to build a company. Take a crowdfunding campaign as a marketing, like you're launching a product to the market, and this is the way how you market it. When you take it this way, it's effective. I don't know of any company that fundraised so much money that it was enough to build a product. All of them, they take it as a pre-sales campaign. It's to target your first customers.
Okay.
So take it as a market launch campaign.
Thank you. And then one final question. How do you deal with failure? Because here in Belgium, it's still a very large stigma. It's not done to fail.
Yeah, so, failure in your head is 10,000 bigger than everyone else perceives you as a failure. So it's all in your head. Like, I don't want to say like it's nothing, but like you are afraid of a failure way, 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 way more than people around you. And like if like for example, I can say like, yeah, I failed my first company, or like I fired my whole technical team, I failed in hiring. It doesn't matter. Like, does anyone remember that? Like, no one really remembers that. In your own head is big, but everyone else is just like looking for the future and what you can do. So just, like, don't even think about it. It's
Don't even
stupid.
think. Don't even think about it. That's great advice. Thank you so much, Kristina, for joining us. And I hope we'll have an office of Kech within 5 years in Belgium. Thank you so much. Have a great day. For the viewers at home, you can stay here on the Pioneer stage to join Truls Schoenfeld from Denmark about the future of energy. Or on the main stage, we have Felipe Vilela from Brazil in tuning about the future of sustainability. And last but not least, you can discover on the future stage what the future of the Port of Antwerp will hold. Thank you so much.